Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another podcast episode. Yes, we're bringing it back. I did mention it on stream, and I've been wanting to bring this back for the people that have been in the community for a while now. Many of you know that I've had previous posts of podcasts on YouTube, and it's been something that I've been wanting to bring back and pick it back up with my brother. It really is just an elaborate excuse to have good conversations and hang out with my brother when he has his free time, but I wanted to make it something productive and something that would be pretty entertaining for you guys to do. So we've sort of upped the stage as well, and you'll see in a little bit. But first and foremost, let's introduce my brother, Age. What's good, man?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? How's everyone doing?
Yo. And so, my brother, some of you may know, many of you may know, that he's been home for the past, I think, about 2 weeks. And he's been very, very busy, hard at work over at PT school getting his doctorate for physical therapy. Now, Age, you know, let me know, how was Clin 2, right? This summer? How was that process? How has PT school been for you?
Overall, I would say the experience has been a grind, a very, very big grind, in fact. There were many nights where I had to study, no matter what plans I had scheduled, whether it was with my friends or just relaxing and playing some game. I had to put in the work, really, put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort in order to actually learn this stuff and get a good grasp on it. Now, in terms of Clinton, which was the most recent adventure, if you will, in the PT school, I thought that it went pretty good. It was very informative. I learned a lot, I experienced a lot, and I saw a lot of the things that we encounter within the PT field. And coming home, it was essentially kind of like a desert. It was kind of like within this desert analogy, coming home was kind of like an oasis where if one was traveling through a desert, they would be met with harsh conditions, for example. And then once they find that oasis, it gives them that sense of relief. Coming home provides that sense of relief for me. It allows me to just kick back, relax, and really just recover from the tribulations, if you will, of grad school, of PT school in particular.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm glad to hear that, you see home as like an oasis. But you mentioned that PT school is similar to, or you were able to pair it with the analogy of it being a desert with harsh conditions. What kind of harsh conditions are we talking about? Like, I know PT school is very grueling, has a very heavy workload, and you're constantly doing physical work. Obviously, it's physical therapy. But what would you say is like, what variables would you have perceived up until now as the harsh environment that it is posited to be?
So it mainly has to do with the learning aspect itself. There are many, many things that we learn in PT. Let's take a special test, for instance. Knowing not only the special tests themselves, but also knowing how to perform them in real life and knowing why they are the way that they are. Because you can simply just memorize them. Yeah, that's definitely one route that people can take. But knowing and understanding them, personally, that helps me remember them more and the steps to do them and why I'm doing them. That's where the curve comes because there's so much time that you have to put in there and it tends to vary. Some people have to put in X amount of time. I have to put in Y amount of time in order to actually be able to master these things and know what I'm doing and understand the concepts themselves. So a lot of it is really just the understanding paired with memorization in order to actually increase your competence as a PT.
And you would say that the toughest thing was garner. So it was the time taken to garner understanding of the craft that you're trying to specialize in. It's how tough it is to sort of gather all that knowledge and consolidate it into useful knowledge in your head that you can utilize in any given scenario that you're presented with when actually working as a PT. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, and the thing is that because understanding takes a long time, and because since we're in school, it's not like we have infinite time to truly learn and understand these things. We have to know it at least to a certain degree by the time a test comes, or by the time a practical comes, for instance. And keep in mind that you have loads upon loads of different units that you cover, from neuro to ortho. So all these different factors, all these different units, all these different concepts, you have to know by the time that the test comes or the practical comes. Otherwise, it's not going to end well for you. So
Right.
knowing that, and then also knowing it for Clint as well, because Clint is a whole different animal. This is when you're really putting into work all of the things that you learn. You're actually applying all of the things that you learn rather than just seeing it on a test, for instance, and seeing it in a multiple choice question. It's more so just like, do you know this? Yes or no type thing.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that, like, for occupations such as physical therapy, do you think that when you're faced with multiple choice exams or things that aren't hands on, do you think that the fact that your passing or failing criteria is reliant on said written exams or multiple choice exams, do you believe that to be a fair thing, or do you think that that's a product of maybe an older, more rigid educational system that needs to be maybe reworked? What do you think about that?
Um, I've heard multiple perspectives on it. I would say it, like, in certain ways it could be useful. So for example, it's like the multiple choice questions is kind of testing your, if they're asked in the right manner, it's kind of testing your ability to actually understand the things that you're learning. The problem that I see is that there's, a lot of people can get away with just simply memorizing them as well. That's also like another option when it comes to the multiple choice. People can also just memorize the answers depending on how they're asked, which can really take away from the learning process because when you cram everything in that one night, that doesn't work for every single individual. I would say that that has worked a couple times for me in the past in like undergrad, for instance. And I'm not one of those people who just say globally it just doesn't work. I would say that there are some people who could probably do it. Everyone knows where their limit is. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the written exam thing, it can be good depending on how it's written because it really tests your ability to understand it. But it's always, always, always important to pair it up, which they do, with actual hands on and physical work, such as with joint mobilization, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I understand I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from regarding that. But another question that I have, because and the reason why I ask you these questions is because, one, the field that I studied in wasn't hands on, right? It was, well, for the most part, other than my master's, which was a business administration course. But another question I wanted to ask, and this is something that is more so aimed towards every occupational pathway, right? I'm curious about this. Do you think that if somebody is passionate and truly driven to become a certain occupation, they know that that's what they want to do, they're certain that that's their passion, do you think that this, say they don't make it in the structured 3 4 years that, say, a master's or a doctorate program, or any of those higher education programs, say they don't pass the initial course length, do you think it should be okay for them to continue pursuing that pathway past that one failure? Because in my opinion, I personally think that if they are genuinely passionate and driven, then they should still be able to pursue these avenues. I think that, for me, in this thing, or in this notion, um, everybody, like you said, knows their limits. Everybody has a limit. Everybody has a speed at which they're able to garner information. Because of that reasoning, I personally think that the programs that take 3 to 4 years should have options for further duration, because the rate at which people digest information and process it varies from person to person, right? So I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that anybody who has a strong passion or drive towards an occupation, or a purpose in life, say they want to be a doctor, right? Do you think they should still be allowed to pursue medicine despite maybe failing once or twice, but still pursuing and continuing forward, getting up and moving forward, still trying to go for it?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. They have the passion for it. But we have to keep in mind that, a lot of people don't necessarily have a high passion for it. They may be a little lukewarm about it, or they may be doing it for other means. Maybe they want to make money, for instance. So I would definitely say, like, even if they did fail once or twice, if they're very passionate about it and then they learn from their mistakes and they want to be the best, then I think that, institutions should allow them to keep exploring that passion and really trying to be the best that they can because that's a rarity within, let's say, the med field, for instance, where you have someone that, yeah, sure, they may not be like the best and smartest, most gifted individual, but if they have that genuine care and that genuine passion for the patient, it only benefits really everyone involved in that sort of path in order to actually give them the path that they need to succeed and actually like explore their passion. Because it's better to have like an actual human, someone that actually cares for you as your doctor, for instance, rather than someone who's just doing it for the money. That
A
really
hundred
helps
percent.
trump it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit, that whole idea of people going into the medical field, they have the genuine talent and they're maybe geniuses, but they really only do it because of the money or to feel like, those types of people that only do it for, vanity, vainglory, things like that. It's quite upsetting and sad to see that there is a prevalent demographic of that type of mindset people in the medical field. They're so it's kind of scary, It's like they're only doing it for
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. But I
Yeah.
know, for example, like you have a genuine passion for PT. Have you seen anybody, any one of your classmates or previous CIs, or even like people you've worked with that are just doing it for the money, or that they're like some narcissistic asshole or whatever?
I've definitely seen like narcissistic assholes, in my opinion, of course. But in terms of the money, the thing about PT is that it's hard to really kind of go down that avenue of doing it for the money because it's not too high of an income job. But, there are definitely, and you're going to see narcissistic assholes no matter what field you go down. It could be
Mm-hmm.
politics, for example. You'll obviously see narcissistic assholes there. Doctors, for example, there are many stories of doctors who will talk down to their patients or talk down to their coworkers, such as their nurses and, you know, whoever they may be working with in that moment. And, I've encountered my fair share, I would personally say, in my opinion, of course, of people who I would say that, were very prideful and very narcissistic in that sense, where let's take a CI for instance, like they would be very prideful and they wouldn't be able to understand your perspective and where you're coming from. So, for example, implementing something that they taught you, and then you just simply inquire to them, like, well, why? Like, why wasn't this effective when I did it? Type thing. And then they get upset. That type of behavior, for instance. I think that you can find that really in any field. You could have interns on rotations, for example, and they could experience that as well.
Right, right. It's actually quite prevalent from what I've seen for interns having to deal with terrible, terrible superiors. I've definitely seen a lot of those before, or at least heard a lot of intern horror stories regarding their superiors and their bosses, etc., etc. Speaking of bosses, and we'll actually get to this point in a second. Um, I do miss one thing about you being here, or being back at your dorm, and that's the ability to play games with you. In recent time, we've been playing like Battlefield 6, and I've been trying to get you on other games where you fight bosses, like Absalom, like these beat 'em up games, or even Elder Scrolls, right? And one of the things that I miss you telling me about in particular was your playthrough of Skyrim, right? I never actually got a chance to hear your full thoughts on your playthrough of Skyrim. And you know that I love Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. Do you think I can ask you, like, what were your thoughts when you played Skyrim? Do you think, because I used to tell you about it all the time and stuff like that. And when I heard you finally got it, like, and played the whole thing, like, what were your thoughts? How did you feel about that game?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was like overall a really, really cool game. And I enjoyed the experience overall. I enjoyed having some of the mods, for instance. So, for example, Colorful Magic. Shout out to the creator of that mod.
Hell yeah.
It was yeah. It was very cool. It actually added some of the bosses. I'm pretty sure. I when we did get it, it was like a mod pack, essentially. So maybe that wasn't the mod that added that. That added these bosses. So, for example, that dude who is right outside of Whiterun, I believe, and he
That
had
is
that
colorful
sword.
magic. Yeah, that's colorful magic.
Yeah, and then I forgot the other individual's name. It was a boss. He was essentially sitting in a throne, and he was passive. Like if you didn't attack him, he was cool. He would just stare at you like a weirdo. But essentially, like the second you attacked him, he just turned into like this OP. Like it was a giant dark figure. And
I do
then
remember
I
that.
forgot
Yeah.
what exactly. Yeah, I forgot his name. I forgot what exactly like he did. I think he literally he was like a dragon that like had
Yeah.
feet. I could have sworn he like blew fire at me.
His armor
Yeah.
was an all black dragon themed armor set. And he's in one of the crypts for the Nordic, like the old Nordic peoples. He's in one of their crypts and he's sitting on that throne. I remember it's one of the main story quest dungeons that you have to go through. I remember that guy in particular because
Yeah.
he was an absolute power, like a unit. He was an absolute fucking unit. He was so hard to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude was a unit, bro. Like I remember I tried so hard, dude. You know how like in Skyrim, you could take advantage of the some of the mechanical glitches that would happen. And then you know, like you could go in like a tiny valley, for instance, and then they wouldn't be able to attack you. They would just continuously like run
Mm-hmm.
in to the valley, even though they can't like do anything about it.
Yeah.
Even though they can't reach you is more of a better way to put it. I would try to do that with that dude, and then he would just like the second he started shooting his fire at me, I was done. Like my health just like decreased so quickly, and I was just gone. Like I was unalived super quickly.
He was absolutely fucking powerful for the area that you were in. Like, and I found it very funny because, like you said, like his fire breath could instantly just wipe your health out. That dungeon, I believe, is like so. There's Bleak Falls Barrow. You turn in the Dragonstone. You get the quest to go to get the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller, I believe, right? Uh,
I believe that was
or
it.
maybe
Yeah,
there's like a couple quests in between, but I'm pretty sure it's the Horn of Jurgen. Okay, no, you go and fight the dragon at the Watchtower. Then the Greybeards call your name because you take the soul. Then you visit the Greybeards, and they tell you to retrieve the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller, who's the first ever Greybeard, I believe. Right? He was one of the people who could speak the Thum, which is the dragon language. And then that's the dungeon that he's found in. When you go to retrieve the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller, there's that area where like there's steps that go up and there's immediate traps and stuff. But to the right is his throne, and it's not far into the story, right? It's not far into the game, so you're going in like maybe level 8 to 12 and
yeah,
maybe higher 16 if we're being real like liberal about the XP that you're gaining depending on how much you played. um and if you're just powering through the main story quest, you're not 16, you're like 12. You're very low level. The point is you're very low level, right? You're going into that dungeon, everybody else is doable. Then you see, because of the mod, that motherfucker, and he's just sitting there on the throne with aura
yeah,
exuding from his body, and
yeah.
he one taps you with his breath. It's crazy fight. But anyways, um, serious. Like continuing on. What what did you feel when playing Skyrim? Like what kind of feelings did you feel while playing Skyrim? What made you enjoy it so much?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a great game in terms of basically saving that realm from the dragon, for instance. And it was cool of how like they had a variety of different enemies that you fought. Like it wasn't always just like sword and shield and shit. You had people who had different magic, for example, from Alduin to even just like the regular skeletons that you would fight, and then some of them would shoot arrows at you, some of them would, hit you with the sword and stuff. And I'm pretty sure some of them had magic, if I'm not mistaken, too. Like
Yes.
if I remember correctly, didn't some of them shoot like frostbites at you and then,
Yes.
fire?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the variety that was within that game and the variety of quests as well. You had the Dark Brotherhood, you had the Greybeard, aka the main part of the quest. I remember I told you this. I never actually did some of the DLCs like what was the Dawnbreaker, right? Dawn
Dawn
Guard.
Guard, yeah. Damn, man.
There we go. Yeah, because I remember it's like right when I beat the game, it was one of those things where it's like you beat the game and then you just kind of like, oh okay, and then you just kind of move
Mm-hmm.
on after.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the game. I thought it was cool, and I hope to beat Oblivion when that happens because I've been playing that and it's been pretty cool as well. But it's been crashing. But if I can fix that, I'm gonna beat that game and then see what I want to do after.
All right, yeah, yeah. I actually forgot that you started playing Oblivion. You're playing the remastered version, right?
Yeah, and that game is beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, since you're doing that, I mean, I did recently pick up Crimson Desert, but I don't mind playing through Oblivion on my own again and just running through that, and we could talk about it as well. Cause it's been, I think it's been like uh 2008 was when I played it. Like 08, 09 was when I played Oblivion. I think 2010 was the last year I played Oblivion because then 2011 Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out. So yeah, it's been about 16 years since I last even beat Oblivion. So I've been I've been itching to kind of come back to that, especially since it's a remastered thing. But speaking of like Elder Scrolls and playing Skyrim and Oblivion, first off, I know you haven't played Morrowind. Don't even bother. It's too old. That being said, there's been more talks in the gaming sphere surrounding Bethesda and more importantly the Elder Scrolls franchise. Elder Scrolls 6 has been getting teased a little bit more recently. The CEO of Xbox, the recent new CEO Asha Sharma tweeted, and I actually have the tweet pulled up. Where is it? Talking about, she says, and I quote, live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6, and then there is 8 asterisks, right? Elder Scrolls 6, and then 8 asterisks where the title of the game would be said. So it says, live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6 blank this morning. The scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater. So if you or anybody here doesn't know, Elder Scrolls 6 was originally first teased, I believe, in 2018, right? It was just a quick pan through the landscape of a place we didn't know, and then it would just say Elder Scrolls 6, and everybody was hyped. Oh my God, it's soon, it's soon. It has been 8 years since the first tease of Elder Scrolls 6, but now they're Asha Sharma, the CEO of Xbox, is saying she had a live playthrough of Elder Scrolls 6. This was tweeted 5 days ago, mind you. So, we're seeing some decent movement in the waters with Elder Scrolls 6. And some people, there's actually some controversy, surrounding Elder Scrolls, or Asha Sharma's tweet about Elder Scrolls 6. So, according to one of the articles, let's see here, I believe it's this one. They state that Asha Sharma's tweet could have possibly been a timed and sort of calculated move from her to steer the public's attention towards her tweet talking about Elder Scrolls 6 and to keep it away from what was happening when she visited Bethesda's headquarters. What happened when she visited Bethesda's headquarters was there was actually I believe a protest, or like it was a giant inflatable rat, often brought out by labor unions to support striking workers or protests. It was sitting outside of Bethesda's Rockville, Maryland HQ. So there's people saying that the reason why she dropped that crazy information that it was a playable copy was because she was trying to steer the public eye away from the unionized Bethesda workers protesting outside the studio because they were fired. There were 1,600 people laid off from I believe Bethesda alone, which
Whoa.
is kind of crazy. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking people,
Yeah.
dude. That's a lot of people. There's
Yeah.
some controversy surrounding that. What are your thoughts on Elder Scrolls 6? You know about the previous or the most recent games that have been brought up at Bethesda? Have you heard about those or
Well, Elder Scrolls Online, I know that came after Skyrim, if I'm not mistaken.
yes.
Uh, and then if you tell me the titles, I'm sure I would like, it would come to mind.
I mean Starfield, Fallout 76, you know, like those games that came out recently. I mean, Starfield, have you heard about that or
Yeah, Starfield. I remember you were actually talking quite a bit about it, and I remember,
yeah.
I think it was Kui actually. He was kind of disappointed about it. He was saying how it was quite lackluster compared to the hype that it was getting,
It really
if I
was
remember correctly.
lackluster. Yeah, it was a very lackluster game. They hyped up Starfield. They even got Todd Howard to speak on it, right? Or Todd Howard spoke on it on his own behalf. Before it released, you know, they were saying this is their most ambitious project yet. You know, this is their new golden child after Elder Scrolls. They were
Oh
very
boy.
they were very passionate about the game, right? And then it comes out,
Yeah.
and number one, classic Bethesda, it's a buggy mess. Number two, the world was very. It felt to a lot of people, and I played it for a little bit myself. It felt sort of soulless, and the story was nothing to write home about. Nothing about it really screamed, "This is the golden child, the new golden child of Bethesda, the same creators of the fucking Elder Scrolls universe," right? So you
Yeah.
know, all it had were the negative side pieces of Bethesda, which were the amount of bugs and you know fucking Play-Doh looking characters. Somewhat. I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. The characters did look pretty all right. You know, one of the biggest issues that Bethesda games had in the past were that the characters looked like Play-Doh. Right? You look at old Oblivion, you can make your character look like it's not even a living being. It looks like what is it, Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars? Like you can make a character look like Jabba the fucking Hutt from Star Wars, which is insane to me. But yeah,
Yeah.
so with those games in mind, what are your thoughts on Elder Scrolls 6? Do you think it will live up to the hype of previous Elder Scrolls games? Do you think it'll be a genuine good successor to Skyrim? What do you think?
Oof. Well, if we follow the general trend of how it's been going, then I think it kind of speaks for itself on that end, where it's kind of like, okay, you get something like Starfield, for instance, where it wasn't received well. I don't know how the ratings are on Steam, but I do know that everyone who I have talked to about it, they have said that it was quite lackluster. Like they explained it to be kind of a letdown, very disappointing. And as you mentioned, when you hype a game up like that and you're, you know, basically branding it as this golden child that's going to overtake one of the best games that has come out in recent times, aka Skyrim, then that's quite a bit of hype, if you ask me. That is quite a bit of a standard that you're setting. You're setting the bar really, really high. And, you know, so when you set the bar that high, it's going to be really hard to actually reach those expectations. And I think that a mix of seeing the trends of how the games have been releasing and seeing how they have been received by the general public, Fallout 76, I actually heard recently on YouTube that, some people were saying that that was a disaster. I'm not sure what your opinion on it is. I personally don't really play Fallout, but I know that, seeing the trajectory of how the games have been recently, and on top of that, you add the effect of they're really raising the bar high. They're trying to hype it up, possibly, allegedly, possibly using it as some sort of, the controversy around it being used as some sort of distraction, possibly against the strike. You're using all of this in order to, bring the bar up and up and up about the game, that it does make me wonder if it's truly going to live up to the hype simply because of the two aspects, the hype being too high, as well as the results that we've been seeing from Bethesda recently. But what do
Mm.
you think?
If I'm gonna be honest with you, I have lost all of my hype regarding Elder Scrolls 6 a couple years back. And it really died when Crimson Desert released, and I'll get into that in a second here. Um, one thing to point out, a lot of people were reading Asha Sharma's tweet and sort of kind of trying to deep dive into the words that she put there. Like she said, the scale and grandeur are incredible. No, the scale is incredible, and the story is even greater. So, a few things to be skeptical about here, right? Asha Sharma is already known to not have been a gamer type person, right? She's not a
Yeah,
gamer. She's spoken about playing games at some point, but she's not a gamer, right? So her saying that, her saying all this, I feel like we should disregard. The fact of the matter does remain that she said she witnessed a live playthrough of the game. That's all we can confirm. That's all that's like factual there. Everything else in her tweet, other than that, is subjective, and it's subjective thoughts from somebody who doesn't play video games as much as everybody else, or people that are called consider themselves gamers play, right, or experience.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't trust the things that she says there. Now here's the thing, right? I am an Elder Scrolls fan. I used to watch and listen to and even read the books in Skyrim and Oblivion for hours, especially back in high school. Like, I would delve into Fudge Muppet, Camel. I think it's Camel Works. There's a bunch of like just different um, like YouTube channels on the lore. I would go on the wiki. I'd engage in discussions about like the Civil War and things like that. Why I would pick one side over the other, etc., etc. I was big, and I still am, into Elder Scrolls and the universe behind Elder Scrolls, and I love Skyrim to death. But over time, I came to realize that one of the biggest reasons why I love Skyrim is not necessarily anymore for the base game itself, but the past decade has been due to just sheer mods. The community, the modding community, they put so much substance, an infinitesimal amount of substance into the game itself, that the memes where it's like, oh, there's a little bit of Skyrim in your mods, is genuinely born out of reality, right? The average
Oh yeah.
mods, right? The average mod size or game size that I have for my Skyrims whenever I play, average about 600 to 1,000 gigabytes. These are mods. The game is it's no longer the fact. The vanilla game is no longer what keeps me in the franchise. It's the people, the community that surround themselves around the universe of Elder Scrolls, and in particular Skyrim, because of it being the most up to date, quote unquote, Skyrim or Elder Scrolls game that has a modding engine, right? So my hype for Elder Scrolls 6 had been waning off year after year, especially with the disappointing games that would release from Bethesda. Starfield was very genuinely boring to play. Fallout 76, when it first released, was an absolute nothing sandwich. Dude, it had nothing in there. There were no NPCs. It was just other players interacting. It felt lackluster as fuck. I heard they've worked on it over the years, but like, despite that, at the start it was just an empty husk. So a lot of disappointments along the way makes me believe one of two things, right? One, they genuinely suck and they've fallen off, or two, they put out these things to dampen the insanely high expectations that everybody had for Elder Scrolls 6 once upon a time, which GTA 6 now has. Like, Rockstar is currently dealing with that with GTA 6, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll cover GTA 6 in the podcast today. What really killed the desire and hype I had for Elder Scrolls 6 in the most recent times was Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert, when it first released, was everything I ever yearned for from a modded Skyrim. We're talking graphics. We're talking scale of the world, details, the ability to walk into any building and it's completely accessible top to bottom. The ability to have
Oh yeah.
climbing movement capabilities similar to fucking Assassin's Creed or Breath of the Wild brought in there. The combat system, the combos you can make in the combat system, the different types of weapons, the different types of skills, the abilities, the skill trees, the The gliding, the flying, the dragon riding. Hello? Are we serious? Legendary mounts,
Hey yo,
constant updates,
yeah,
constant new things they add to the game week after week. The game, the developers, everything that surrounds Crimson Desert is just it's they're making happiness, bro. They're making joy and happiness, literal happiness. Like it's insane. And to the people that you know think Crimson Desert is like it sucks. It's there's no substance. Completely understandable. You stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane. I'm not gonna force you. I'm not gonna force feed you the game. Nobody's gonna force feed you the game, nor should you tell somebody. And I've seen people reprimand others for playing Crimson Desert and calling them fucking like R words and other things like how could you possibly like this slop, things like that. That's crazy, right? Because the developer that's discrediting and discounting the work put into Crimson Desert, the passion that the developers have had and continue to have with their continuous updates, as well as just the joy and happiness that people find whilst playing a game where you can sink countless hours and you can get lost in for hundreds of hours. This is a forever game that completely tore down whatever desire I had left for Elder Scrolls 6. Now, all that withstanding, if they manage to make Elder Scrolls 6, even at just the baseline, better than Skyrim, while still having a carefree, at least a somewhat carefree mentality with modders and giving them a creation engine 3.0, then it may take over. Their biggest thing that they can be doing here is allowing the creation engine to be accessible to modders, because that's what kept Skyrim from living out its average shelf life of a video game such as that. That's what kept Skyrim. That's what allowed Skyrim to be basically immortal in its shelf life. You know what I mean? The modding community, things like
yeah,
that. So if Elder Scrolls 6 and Bethesda succeed in still allowing the free reign of modding with the capability of allowing modders to have hands-on access to the engine to work on shit themselves, then I think it'll be perfectly fine. However, a counterpoint to that is that Bethesda was a little greedy this past decade, and they tried to do this whole what is it, paid mods system, which is, they probably should know at this point, is fucking stupid, and people fucking hated that. So if they stave away from that and keep it being a free modding community like it used to be, but for Elder Scrolls 6, then I think Elder Scrolls 6 has the potential to be a goated 10 out of 10 game if you account for modders and all that and I think it has potential to be one of those forever games like Skyrim is, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I hear what you're saying, and like I want to play Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert sounds amazing. The way that you explained it to me, not only in this podcast but in prior convos that we had, makes me really want to play it because it sounds cool. It sounds like it takes all the great aspects of all these different games, from like Skyrim to Assassin's Creed, because you can climb in that game, right?
Oh yeah, you can climb. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like that. I'm honestly surprised that that was not in something like Skyrim or even some of the new releases. For example, like I don't know if it's in Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know if you happen to know.
No, it's
Is it?
it's not.
And I feel like that's such a basic feature for this type of game that should be within Elder Scrolls 6. Like I feel like they should be adding these types of features within the game because it makes the game more interesting. Small features like that make it more interesting, makes it more adventurous because it allows you to actually travel the world in many different manners. Instead of just running or taking a horse, you could climb a mountain yourself, for instance. Like it would be cool if they actually add that type of aspect to it. And I feel like it also makes battle scenes cooler because then you could like escape the battle by like climbing up a tower and then doing all these
Yeah.
parkour tricks, and then you have like the enemies following you. I feel like something like that, for instance, could make the game better and hopefully not horrid with the potential of it being an abomination upon release. Not saying that's going to be, but the potential of it, going upon what you said, the hype around it. and basically losing its theme from the prior generation, such as within Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually I'm in full agreement with you about the mod thing. Like I think that even if the game released and even if people were disappointed and they're let down by the previous hype that was generated after all these years and all the teases and all the basically snippets that allowed people to actually build up their excitement for the game, even if it doesn't lead up or live up to the hype, I should say, the thing that as long as they still have the community being able to work on the game, that engine that they put in, the basically the backbone of the game is able to be utilized to basically create these different mods, for instance, and it has the backing of the community, it has the community ideas, very similar to that of Skyrim, which, as you said, it basically made the shelf life of it infinite. There are people
Mm-hmm.
still playing Skyrim to this day. I remember I'm sure that you probably still play it every now and again, and it just shows that that modding community, even if the game came out and it was 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 in rating, I think that the modding community could bring it up. And I still think that that's embarrassing. If the game comes out and it's a flop like that, I think that not only Bethesda, but game companies should be taking note of this. They shouldn't be cutting corners. They shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
um, they shouldn't be like washing down the game. They should always make sure that the game has its own identity and it has these unique features and things that make the game memorable and things that make the game um basically like that game. Kind of like when people they put on a mask, for instance, and then they don't show the true personality. It kind of washes them down. It doesn't give them that unique identity. They need to
Mm-hmm.
stick with that unique identity because otherwise you're gonna have washed up games that lose their identity and that lose the previous generations that loved that game that would do anything for that game. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
overall, I would say that as long I agree with you, like as long as they keep the ability for modders to really get into the game and really create their own aspects, their own features, and bring in their own ideas, as well as the ideas of the community, because it's usually the modders that are really listening uh, to the community, to the critiques that they've received, the reviews, everything. So yeah, in a way, it's almost like allowing modders to freely mod the game is almost like having the voice of the people being injected directly into the game whenever
Mm-hmm.
the modders actually come up with their ideas and implement them within it. So I'm in full agreement with you. I think like the modding community is extremely, extremely important for this game. If it comes out a flop, the modding community, I'm still disappointed in Bethesda. I think it would turn off a lot of people, but ultimately, I do have faith that in that sort of instance, it's the modding community that would end up raising the value of the game. And I think Bethesda shouldn't mess around with something that's so vital to its lifespan.
Mm-hmm. It's also if they do, it's kind of a very idiotic move because it's no secret that the modding community is what keeps Elder Scrolls, more particularly Skyrim, alive. Right? Yes, the lore and the world is what generates the initial energy of a person required to have them make a mod, right? Like you're not gonna make mods despite having full access, like creating whatever you want. You're not gonna make mods for a game that you didn't initially fall in love with, right? Like the world of Skyrim, how intricate it. And what I'm trying to do here is not discount the work that Bethesda's done, right? How intricate the
Yeah.
world is. They've made several books, right? For example, and have littered them throughout all of Skyrim, like self-made by the developers. It's not like they fucking used AI back then to make these books. Like self-made books inside of the game that you can pick up. They're a few pages long, but they're books and stories nonetheless. And there's libraries, like intricacy, detail, and like the level of detail that Bethesda put in games like Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, uh, Daggerfall, Arena, if you guys count those. It's so much. What I'm trying to get at is all they need to do, right, is give a good story,
Mhm.
continue the level of detail that they once had in previous installments of the Elder Scrolls games, and that's really kind of it, right? If you keep okay, also the magic system in Skyrim is second to none. I'll be so honest with you. And the ability for modders to create more magic only further elevates my thought process on that. I think one of the most
Oh
charming
yeah.
things about Skyrim was the magic system, right? Oblivion, you could create your own spells and stuff, but it didn't feel as hands-on as Skyrim's was. You can call a meteor storm down with some mods. You can fucking flames, frostbite, electrocution, right? Or sparks, sorry. Flames, frostbite, sparks. They were channeled spells, right? They didn't have that in Oblivion. I don't know another game that lets you have a magic system like that, where it's similar to Skyrim, where you can go in an open world map. That's the one thing, for example, looking back at Crimson Desert, that I wish they had, right? The ability for different types of spells, like summoning an army of the dead or summoning creatures from Oblivion. Things like that is so cool. You know, the amount of different homebrew classes you can make was so available in Elder Scrolls games that they need to continue that in Elder Scrolls 6. If they continue that same thing in Elder Scrolls 6, immediately I'll play it even if the story's shit. I'll be so honest with you, Age. I will play it even if the story is shit because that was so fucking fun. I love a summoner build, a good summoner build, a good necromancer build, a good mage build because it feels so immersive and hands-on comparatively to other RPGs that for some reason nobody decides to fucking do. Why doesn't anybody who makes RPGs that I know of at least, and if anybody knows any RPGs where the spells are very fucking close to Skyrim's level of spells details, please let me know. But why the fuck does nobody make a game where you can channel fucking flames out of your hands in a first person mode and like dual cast it into a Kamehameha hand gesture with like increased
Mm-hmm.
output of damage? Like, why does nobody do that? I've not seen a game that lets you have the freedom of that type of magic system. It's always so rigid. Like, I shoot fireball or I shoot magic
Yeah,
missile.
yeah,
Not I
yeah,
spew out a gout of fucking fire continuously until my magic runs out. Or I summon an army of 100 skeletons because I fucking can. Or I call down a false moon and it crashes down like a meteor. Like, what? No other game has let me do that. Man, fuck. It's terrible.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so Elder
I hear
Scrolls
you.
6, to wrap that up, in my opinion, Elder Scrolls 6 just needs to have a decent continuation of the world's, like the world's progress, the world of Tamriel and the progress of that. Answer questions that need answering, like what's happening with the ongoing tension between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion. Where does the Civil War go in the books? How far ahead in the timeline are we in the newest game? And what happened? Did the Aldmeri Dominion retake over? Is this now a story revolving around rebellion and breaking free again? What's going to be going on there? Answer these questions, please. You don't got to answer the dwarves. I don't keep it a mystery if you really want, but just, make a cohesive story that makes sense, right? And is well
Yeah,
embedded into the lore of previous Elders, like the whole Elder Scrolls world as a whole. Don't just be like, oh, this is a bad writing, this is a dragon break of a game. Like, what? No, don't do that, please. God forbid that. And then also keep the level of detail that they once had with their previous installments of video games, namely Oblivion level of detail, and Skyrim had really strong levels of detail, but I reckon that Morrowind and Oblivion had even greater levels of detail. So if they can meet that standard or match that standard rather, they'll be completely fine. They'll be completely fine. The hype is gone. The hype is gone, right? With Elder Scrolls 6. There's people excited,
yeah,
but it's not, you know, exceptional levels of hype that are hard to meet because whether they did it on purpose or not, they've successfully lowered expectations of Elder Scrolls 6 by a very large margin, so much so that people have lost hope in the Elder Scrolls 6. So, just make the game good. Follow the blueprint of previous success stories in your own fucking studio, that being the previous Elder Scrolls games, and even maybe Fallout 4 if you consider that, and you'll be fine. Speaking of insane hype, Alexander,
Yeah,
GTA
yeah,
6 is coming out later this year. November, I believe, is the release date, right? GTA 6 is finally coming out, and there is so much hype surrounding GTA
yeah,
6. Motherfuckers are dropping mad dosh just to get the ultimate edition. There was a statistic. Now I don't know if any. Keep in mind, take all of this statistical information, quote unquote, with a massive pile of salt, because none of the actual earnings reports or anything has been leaked, nor has it been actually given to us, I believe, regarding GTA 6 from Rockstar. But there are talks from different articles that I've seen that say roughly 80% of pre-order purchases were the deluxe edition of the game, €100. So I think, or like 100 US dollars, I think. Like that's a lot. There's earnings reports ranging from, and this is why I say take it with a massive pound of salt. They range from about $400 million of earnings from pre-orders to estimates of $3 billion. Now, people in the comments can be like, "Well, it's $3 billion." I mean, everybody's saying it's $3 billion. It's not actually been confirmed. I've been doing some research. It's only ever been stated as some unconfirmed reports, for example, suggest the figure climbed as high as $3 billion within 24 hours. Now, I think that's just a myth. I think that's just rumor. That's just ungrounded rumor, right? Just that's how much though. That's a testament to how much hype is surrounding GTA 6.
yeah.
Analysts are saying it's reached $3 billion within 24 hours. People are fucking buying the deluxe. 80% of people are buying the deluxe edition for $100. That's insane. That is absurd. And if it really did reach $3 billion within the first 24 hours, age, what are your thoughts on the level of hype regarding GTA 6?
I I am honestly not surprised. I mean, you know, you go into Instagram, for example, and it could be a totally unrelated video. It could be like I don't know, like a cat, like one of those AI videos where it's like a cat is like driving a motorcycle, and you'll see someone in the comments. They'll be like, "We got a cat driving a motorcycle before GTA 6." So its popularity, its hype around it is basically everywhere, no matter where you go. It's ubiquitous. It's literally like you could have the most average of Joe talking of it. And it just shows that, in my opinion, I'm not saying that it is the case, but in my opinion, I do think that it could have grossed something like $1 billion within only a couple of days simply because of that hype. Now, I'm not saying that it did it. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if they released the data and it showed that simply because of the hype and how long we have been waiting for this, because we have to understand that the gap between the previous GTAs, so like GTA 4 to GTA 5, they were not this long. This is like there are just so many things that happen within the time that GTA 5 has released, and then GTA 6 alleged release date coming up soon, which you never know with Rockstar. It could get delayed. As we remember, it was originally supposed to come out, I think, way back in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. But I know for a fact
Yeah.
it was supposed to release last year, back in I forgot the exact date. But so my question is though, with all this hype surrounding it, with all of this sort of um, excitement about the game because of its prolonged wait, I wonder if it's actually going to live up to the hype. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where when we were talking about the hype surrounding Elder Scrolls 6, the more that you build up that hype, the higher the standard is going to be for it to reach it. And I'm just simply wondering, like, will they be able to do that? Because GTA 5 already set a pretty high bar. GTA 4 was great as well. So it does make me wonder about that. What do you personally think about that?
I hmm about the whole situation, the hype surrounding it, or
Yeah, do you think it's gonna live up to the hype? What do you think?
see, that's where I'm conflicted, right? Because
Yeah,
Something okay. I am a fan of GTA games, much like any other person, right? I find that GTA tends to have some pretty good stories. If at the very least, it's a very, very, very fun game, GTA 5, to play with friends on GTA Online, right? I mean, it's obviously very obvious that that was a massive success, and I'm sure GTA 6 is going to have its own version of GTA Online. I believe that's actually just straight up confirmed. It's just set in stone. But if I'm going to be honest with you, right? While I would
Yeah.
like for the hype to have been met, something within me, it's not out of sheer pettiness, I promise you. Something within me, and I know what it is, wants GTA 6 to not meet expectations. I don't want it to meet expectations. Now here's why,
Hmm.
right? If this is true,
Hmm.
that pre-orders for GTA 6 grossed $1 billion plus, this is a glaring issue with consumer mentality, dog. I'm going to be so real. If it really did reach $3 billion over 24 hours, the first 24 hours of pre orders opening up, then we have a
Yeah.
massive underlying issue with the mainstream gaming consumer sphere. There's no way that we put that much faith in a company that, for example, in recent time stated that a trailer for GTA 6 was going to only be shown on Netflix. So you need to have a subscription to Netflix to then see like exclusive footage of GTA 6, which is fucking insane to me. So you can already tell there's some consumer there is some weird like crazy marketing mindset behind GTA 6's marketing, right? Like it's
Yeah.
so sharky, you know? So if
Yeah.
it were to if it were to meet expectations, we'll probably see some crazy negative shit going on with major AAA companies just further seeing consumers as free cash cows, just giving them money at any hype's notice, right? Like this would
Yeah.
usher in a terrible shift in a lot of AAA companies' mindsets towards how much they can milk us consumers, right? However,
Yeah.
if it were to, like, that would suck, but a lot of people would get to enjoy a very fruitful game because Rockstar has had a very good track record of previous games, and I don't doubt that Rockstar knows how to fucking cook. I love GTA games myself. I do want it to succeed in a better world, right? But where we currently live,
Yeah.
shit, we're two fucking steps away from a cyberpunk society, dog. It's getting worse out there. However, right, if GTA 6 were to flop miserably, that would be a very big, like, stub in the toe for the sharky people that run these AAA companies, man. It would be a very big stub toe. It would fuck with a lot of the shifts in the market, the shifts in plans for these people at the top, and it would be a kind of a win. It would be a blessing in disguise for us common people that play games, that just want to enjoy video games without having to fucking stake half of our food side of the paycheck for a fucking video game that sells us promises but not actually realizes them, right?
Yeah.
So something in me wants it to fail, but I'm getting the feeling that GTA 6 won't. Right? Hear me out. Again, their track record is known for putting out banger after banger. I do not believe Rockstar Games has actually put something out that's not a banger. Look at Red Dead Redemption 2, their newest game. That was one of the best games of our generation to come out. That was one of the best games. People fucking will die on the hill that Red Dead Redemption 2 is game of the decade. Right? There are people out there that will die on that hill. So Rockstar, and then GTA 5, right? And then GTA Online. Those were all bangers. GTA 4, San Andreas, Vice City. Shit, I love Chinatown Stories. That shit was fire on the phone, right? Like, they
Yeah.
put banger after banger. They have not missed. So it's it's got a very strong chance that they cooked with this one too, especially since they delayed it each time. I think they deleted it maybe 2 times, right? So, you know, there's very strong chance that this game will end up being fan fucking tastic. Very strong chance. Um, but part of me hopes it doesn't, simply because I don't want to see us get further seen as less than human, more cash cow, just free money for other AAA devs. But a big, strong, crazy thing is there are reports that the map size for GTA 6, for example, is according to a Reddit user. Okay, they're pretty good. I won't lie. I've seen some Reddit users like kind of like they digested and theorized that Crimson Desert's map was a certain size, and they were kind of on the money. This person says GTA 6's map size is roughly 2.7 times bigger than GTA 5's and 2.4 times bigger without the panhandle. I don't know what the panhandle is, but quite a dramatic difference when you consider how big GTA 5's map was, right? To give a
Yeah.
comparison, um, other sources state that it's going to be roughly 100. I believe it said 125 to 225 square kilometers, which is fucking huge. To give a comparison,
Yeah.
Crimson Desert is fucking huge, and that's 150 kilometers according to some sources, around 150 to 215. So we're looking at similar sizes. If that is the case, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be fucking huge. Okay, it's going to be fucking huge because Crimson Desert is fucking huge. I haven't even
Yeah.
explored more than 50% of Crimson Desert's map age. I have 160 plus hours on the game.
Dang,
Like,
really?
yeah, I have a lot of hours on that fucking game, and I haven't. There was a whole section on the top right corner of Crimson Desert's map that I didn't even know existed, AJ. There's a fucking city in the top
Really?
right corner of the map called Varnia that's fucking beautiful. I didn't even know it was there because I didn't traverse
Damn.
the desert. Dude, and there's a rainforest between one part of the map and the desert that I had no idea was there until yesterday. Like, point I'm
Damn.
trying to make is the map is fucking huge. The map in Crimson Desert is fucking huge. I can only assume that if I felt that way about Crimson Desert, where I can fly on a fucking dragon and still think it's huge, that GTA 6 is going to be huge as well. It's going to be a massive, massive plot of land. And that alone, with Rockstar's level of detail, is going to be pretty fucking sick. Somebody also did, there was a post saying that a lot of the buildings will be accessible in GTA 6,
Yeah.
like how I mentioned Crimson
Yeah.
Desert has that. There was a post I
Mhm.
remember seeing that they mentioned that many of the buildings within Vice City are going to be accessible. So that also adds to the depth of the map and the world itself. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm hoping that it's a big map. According to the hype, if it is 2.7 times bigger, according to the Reddit user, of course, if it is that much bigger than GTA 5, for example, that alone is an improvement. Now, them adding all of these accessible buildings and your ability to actually travel the world itself, rather than just seeing all these buildings and they're just there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then it basically adds more to the game. It gives it more of an identity to the game itself because it allows for more exploration. It gives you more things to do, more things to explore, check out, etc. So I definitely like that aspect of the game, and I'm hoping that if the map truly is that much bigger, which we're gonna see, then I do think it does definitely add to the identity. I did not know Crimson Desert's map was that big to the point where like even you didn't explore it, despite the fact of the amount of hours that you said. I believe you said 160 plus. So I do think that that is something to look forward to in the game. And I also, going back a little bit, I do kind of agree with your points from earlier. Like I see where you're coming from, and it does make sense that desiring the game to quote unquote flop can actually benefit us in the future. It may suck in the moment, especially for a lot of the people who were to acquire the game. But
Mm-hmm.
a blessing in disguise, as you say, for sure, because let's say that it did take off, the game takes off, and one of the reasons being the giant map that it has and all these accessible buildings, and it has a great story, whatever the case may be. You're right. I do think that that sends not only a message to Rockstar, but to a bunch of other gaming companies who have a fan base. Cough cough, the one that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Then it does actually raise an issue where they're like, oh snap, we're going to prioritize money over everything else right now. We can do that. We can hype up a game. We can have a trailer be only exclusive to Prime or Netflix or all the different platforms, and we can get away with all of our money, basically money businesses. And I do think that that's an issue uh, as well. I think that that was a good point. And in terms of the map size, I guess we're really gonna see on the release day, unless Rockstar drops like the map prior. There's no real
Yeah.
way of us being able to tell because a lot of the stuff on it are just speculations, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of it is just speculation. I mean, even the map itself isn't full. It's not confirmed how large the map actually is. Even if if you do some research on it, it's not. It's leaked data estimations. Leaked like it's community fan mappings like Crimson Deserts, which somehow I don't think Crimson Deserts has been fucking said what it actually is, which is also
Yeah,
weird because the game's fully fucking out. I don't understand.
yeah,
um, but yeah, it's quite interesting to see that a lot of people speculate how large the map will be, and they compare. There's some images, and I'll probably put it up on screen around this point, um, that show GTA 6's map right next to GTA 5's, and it's an estimate from the community. And if that's the case, it dwarfs GTA 5's map. It really does. I can send you the image in DMs if you want to see it.
sure. Yeah, I've actually seen some on Insta, and obviously I take it with a grain of salt. I'm not like, oh, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, like I may have actually seen this exact image before, where it just completely like it makes it look like an island compared to a continent type of thing.
yeah, yeah. It really does, right? Like, jeez.
Yeah,
And it's shaped like Florida, which is obviously
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vice City's mapped after Florida, but like it's quite interesting that they shaped it that way, or that they managed to shape it that way and fit all that into a single game. If the size of the map is as theorized, right? It could be smaller than we think, but here's the hoping. The map is that big. I honestly do wish for people's wishes to be fulfilled regarding this game, but being so for real, I do hope it does flop. I hate to sound like a dickhead, I know, but it's like taking it's like being slashed on the stomach instead of being shot in the head. Your chance of survival is a lot higher getting slashed in the stomach, taking this fall, taking this knee, than it is if it actually ends up being real fucking good, and it ends up being a fucking message to other AAA devs to be sharky about their shit and whatnot. I don't know. It's just crazy. I wish for us to not have a future where we're always exploited against by the AAA companies and things like that. And we do have indie games and the whole indie scene fighting against that, but it scares me, and that's probably why I hope it fails. I'm scared of the future of gaming if GTA 6 ends up being a massive success, simply because I don't really think will be other than how much fun it'll be, and I'm excited to see how fun it'll be. Other than that, we might be losing out more in the future than gaining just because of the how good the game is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I feel like those types of when companies see that they can get away with these types of things when they can, you know, for example, make trailers on exclusively like Netflix, for example, or they add everything being like microtransactions and all these different things. Because throw back to when games, you bought them, they were complete, and that was it. You grind to get the stuff that you want in the game. Yeah, sure, maybe there were like cheat codes that you could do for fun, but that was completely different compared to the system that we have now, where a lot of it is microtransactions. It's like, oh yeah, you spend $5 in real life. Behold, you know, you have gained these equipment which can help you be the most OP individual in the game. That type
Mm-hmm.
of thing, that type of, you know, this all stems from prior games trying that out, dipping their toes in the water, and then they gain success, and then it only grows more and more of a problem. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
of how, you know, certain streaming platforms, they start out with 10-second advertisements or 30-second skippable. And then next thing you know, you have to watch like 7 different advertisements just
Right.
to actually be able to stream what you want to stream. And so that's why I see what your point is. Your point is essentially it's the messaging that this sends to the world. GTA 6 is such a hyped up game that they were able to get all these pre-orders from people, and they were able to pull these certain moves that if it's not a flop, it's essentially the message that that sends to the world is, yeah, while the game may be good and it may get great reviews and people are going to be, you know, excited about it, it's kind of like it's not looking good for the future because it shows other companies, not only
Mm-hmm.
Rockstar, because it definitely shows Rockstar that they can continue this type of behavior because it's like, oh, well, like our profit margin not only didn't decrease, but they actually increased. Then stuff like this is essentially showing you that it's the messaging that comes with this that's problematic.
You know, if you don't mind, I do want to add this important thing because I had realized that we didn't even speak about this, but this was on my mind the whole time, as to why
Yeah.
I don't want them to succeed. It's the reason why people are buying the deluxe slash ultimate edition of the game. You know about this, right? You know why they're doing that?
Uh, I'm kind of foggy on it. I think it was like there was more features within it, something like that.
Okay, yes. So they're locking out a bunch of features from the game for people who have the standard edition of the game versus the ultimate
Mhm.
edition of the game. So there's a chart here that's sort of, and I'm not entirely certain that this is the chart, basically, of what the ultimate edition gives you, right? And I'll put it up on screen. Um, the ultimate edition allows you to access like cosmetic stores in the game, like actual stores in the game and mod shops for like fucking cars in the game, buildings, things like that, that only people with deluxe slash ultimate edition of Grand Theft Auto 6 can access. If you don't, people theorize that, and this person on Reddit, for example, says it's I think the shops will be there in the game, but you won't be able to enter them. And as soon as you reach the door, a pop up will show up on the top corner suggesting you to buy the upgraded version of the game, aka the Ultimate slash Deluxe Edition. So it's stuff like that. It's these very shark tactic, money grabbing tactics where they lock out literal, in this case, potentially physical areas in the game for people that bought the Ultimate Edition as opposed to the Standard Edition. That in of itself, and the fact that there are reports saying 80+% of people ended up going with the Ultimate Edition for reasons potentially because of this, that would end up being a message for other companies to pull the same exact stunt, like paywall people from accessing parts of the fucking game, regardless of if it's something simple or banal as fashion or something like that. They're still locking away pieces of content from the game that are existing only for Ultimate Edition wielders or owners of said game. That is crazy because we already have DLCs. Get ready for, oh, you need to have the $130 edition of this game to access all the cosmetics, or a shop in the game that lets you buy premium things or buy materials to build other things that would require 10 hours of grinding any otherwise, like this is opening up that potential future in gaming where it really will cost money, more and more money just to access small aspects of a game that you want to love, right? That's what sucks. That's what irks me about this whole spiel.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I agree. I'm quite frankly repulsed by that news because it's like they're literally just trying to suck all the money that they can from the consumer in this regard. Because think about it, right? In GTA 5, for example, we didn't have to pay extra money to be able to use the mod shop, that same mod shop that we
Mm-hmm.
customize all these fancy cars that we get, cars that we may not be able to, enjoy in real life at the moment. And it just shows that, like, they're really just trying to do this for the money. And I get it. I get that they may have spent all these years trying to make the game, but it's not all about the money, in other words. Like, it's also
Mm-hmm.
about just generally enjoying the game itself and allowing the consumers to enjoy it as well. Because it's not just the developers playing the game, it's going to be everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think that that is definitely aggravating. And it kind of makes me kind of on that side of, you know, I don't really want it to live up to the hype because then it really opens that door more to not only Rockstar continuing that type of behavior, but other companies that have that loyal fan base. And then they see, like, behold, Rockstar was able to do this. We're going to try it ourselves type of behavior. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't like that demeanor. I think it's very sharky, as you say. I think it's very basically focused on the money rather than focused on the passion and enjoyment and the overall ratings of the consumer. And I think it's very snobby in a way. It's like they're playing off of the loyalty of the fan base. They're really just playing off of it rather than appreciating it.
Yeah. 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 It's and I also found out regarding that practice that it was what can only be seen as experimented. This feature was experimented on with Red Dead Redemption 2. I just found out that there was a bank robbery mission that was locked behind the Ultimate Edition of the game. Now that wasn't really too known because I mean, shit, I didn't know about that, right? Um,
Yeah.
that is, obviously I'm nobody, but like the fact that I didn't know about that is obviously shows that it wasn't too big of of a drop in the ocean of the gaming sphere. Now, this, on the other hand, is a much more bold, much larger move with the pre-ordering thing, stating how many things the Ultimate Edition. I can show you a screenshot of what it looks like. I should have showed you this earlier, Age. It's locking
Hmm.
away. Granted, while again it's all just cosmetics, it's locking away a fuck ton of things, dude. Like, or at
Yeah.
least perceivably a fuck ton of things. At least more than what one would think an Ultimate Edition would lock away. Look at that, Age. Everything there is blocked out. We're talking. Obviously, these are stores and stuff. Whatever. It's like 95 Grotti Cheetah is a car. Hawking Little Morgan revolvers. That's, I don't know if that's a gun. Personalized weapon variants. Vice City style Jason Safe House vehicles. Ganando Retro Build, Rideout Customs Mod Shop, Sarah's Unisex Salon, Shih Tzu Squallow. I mean, there's a clothing store under there as well. Obviously, the Ultimate Edition is giving cars. That's kind of nothing new. Another mod shop, a gear shop, a compound. Like, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
physical buildings in the game. Please tell me that this isn't fully true. Because if it's physical buildings in the game that require you to have the Ultimate Edition to even enter, that's fucking crazy. If it's like, you know, something dumb, then maybe it's more acceptable. But even then, we're still stretching. It's like, really, dude? Like, yeah, an Ultimate Edition is supposed to have exclusive things. That's the point of an Ultimate Edition. But to include full ass shops and buildings to Ultimate members is fucking crazy. I don't know, man. It just seems crazy to me. And people are like, get over it. It's like, dude, that mindset is the reason why they feel it's okay to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, damn,
Yeah.
bro. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, GTA 6 looking to be a massive wave in the industry. We'll see how it is come November. It's coming out in November, as far as we know. And we'll really get to see everybody's thoughts and reactions, at least people that play on PlayStation. Because I think the initial release of GTA 6 release consoles. I believe it's just PlayStation and Xbox, right? They're skipping PC. It's just PlayStation 5
Yeah,
and Xbox. Yeah.
yeah. I remember they did this with GTA 5. That we had to wait like a we were on console back then, but essentially PC had to wait a while for that.
Yeah. Take Two CEO says Grand Theft Auto 6 is releasing on consoles first because, quote, Rockstar always starts on console, serving the core consumer. He also says the delayed PC release has nothing to do with their PlayStation or Xbox marketing deal. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I guess
Anyways,
we'll see. We'll see when it actually comes out. On PC.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite crazy, and it's a little interesting to see that he said the core consumer audience, but we see people switching to PC almost every day. I mean, especially with what
Yeah.
Sony's doing with keeping their exclusives. I mean, Xbox is kind of switching to be a hybrid thing, so PC's kind of becoming a thing there. So it's kind of interesting that Take Two's CEO is speaking as if they're partially, at the very least, against PC, right? It's so weird. It's very prejudiced against PC. But yeah, any final
Yeah.
thoughts regarding that age?
Um. Overall, like, yeah, I don't like the direction of this. I think personally, in my opinion, not saying that it's going to happen, but in my opinion, I think that it's leading down a very dark path. Who knows what the future is going to entail? It's going to be like, oh, the standard edition, you can play through half of the story mode, but then, you kind of got to get the ultimate edition in order to play through the other half. And while that does may seem far fetched right now, the thing is that games back then, there were nothing really like this. They were more focused on the actual enjoyment of the game and really having the consumer enjoy the game, especially. But now they're shifting more toward basically playing off the loyalty, in my opinion, playing off the loyalty of their fan base and making maximum profits rather than actually putting in the effort and work into making um, great creations, if you will. And
Mm,
that's what I personally think about this. I don't like the direction. And if GTA 5 does, not GTA 5, if GTA 6 does end up flopping, the bright side of that is that it shows the company, listen, you can't just be doing this. You need to put in more passion and more effort and actually giving the attention towards the people and making games centered around the people rather than simple profit margins,
mm.
in my opinion.
Right, right. Yeah. Um, I, I do agree with you. I think honestly, I gave my final thoughts regarding that situation. My final thoughts for Elder Scrolls 6 is that I will remain holding a massive pile of salt in my hands, uh,
Mhm.
while until at least until I get a copy of Elder Scrolls 6 in my own hands and I can give it a fair review. But it's gotten to the point where I am considering just waiting for reviews to roll out first and then
Mhm.
maybe dip my toes in after. But we'll see. We'll see. When the time comes, my thought process will be maybe different than how it is right now. And yeah, but I think that's about it for today's podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do leave a like and comment in the video or make in the comments down below. Let us know your thoughts on the topics at hand. If you think that I sound like a dumbass or a buffoon, by all means, I'd like to hear it. Please do elaborate so that I can understand your reasoning why you think I'm a dumbass. If you enjoyed it or you agree, please do also let me know and let AJ know. We'd like to hear your guys' thoughts regarding these topics. And especially if there are enough likes, then we'll know to continue this. So, once again, thank you. AJ, any final words regarding the whole podcast? Anything you want to say to them?
Thank you guys for watching. Um, and yeah, just basically what you were saying. Let us know what you guys think of the podcast. It could be maybe you hated it, maybe you loved it, maybe you thought this was good or this was not so good. And yeah, we would love to hear your feedback in the comment section. So let's hear them.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, and we'll see you on the next podcast episode.
Take care,
Peace.
guys.